Hello and welcome back to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE here. We're back continuing on the road to SummerSlam here, 2 weeks down, 2 weeks to go, and this week kicking off as usual with Monday Night Raw, and we start, it's pretty frantic, the cameraman rushing backstage, and it catches a mass brawl going on between the Undisputed Era, the WWE Champion Edge, the King of the Ring Angel Garza, and Kevin Owens. It's absolutely crazy between the seven of them. It's back and forth. In the end, the seven men all being separated. Really strong breaking past the security and heading towards Garza, Edge and Owens again, but Angel Garza catching him, kicking him in the gut, picking him up and then hitting him with a wing clipper, taking him down before, the six men left standing are fully separated for an 81 here. And it is announced later the main event, a six-way tag team match between those six men, Edge, Garza and Owens against Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, the Undisputed Era, 3-on-3. Hopefully that will be good. As we head into the first match of this evening, a hardcore match between Steve Cutler and Tommaso Ciampa. And Tommaso Ciampa picks up the win with the fairy tale ending. 21 for Cutler, 68 for Ciampa, helping towards that 59 overall. Not bad. Ciampa picking up the win. And then after the match, Ciampa going up the ramp and being met at the top of it by the hardcore champion Timothy Thatcher once again, and the two men stare down, and this time Tommaso Ciampa goes to walk away, and then he just kind of stops, he shrugs his shoulders, and then he turns back and attacks Thatcher, the two men brawling it out on the ramp, fighting each other, pushing and shoving, Timothy Thatcher managing to shove Ciampa back into the LED screens, but Ciampa kind of bounces off him, grabs Thatcher, and then throws him into the LED screens, and they two men just going at it. Security eventually having to separate them. Security having a very rough go of things so far tonight, with a lot of the storylines becoming very heated as the road to SummerSlam continues on. It's a 67 for this post-match segment, pretty good. And then we go backstage to the general manager's office. Asuka and Ember Moon sitting down with Drake Maverick, sorting out the paperwork for their Women's World Title match at SummerSlam. Drake Maverick asking Ember Moon if she is sure about this, about cashing in her women's Money in the Bank briefcase in advance, making that aware. Does she not want to hold on to it, cash it in, so to speak, the regular way? And Ember Moon says no, this is what she needs to do before anything can be signed. They are interrupted by Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, Lana and Karma, of course, the little gang Deonna Purrazzo has assembled. They verbally go back and forth, Purrazzo saying that Ember Moon got lucky against her, and here she is, thinks she's good enough to be Women's World Champion when she's so clearly not. This comment annoys Ember Moon, shooting up, going towards Deonna Purrazzo, but Karma moving Purrazzo back and standing between her and Ember Moon. Ember Moon and Karma staring down at Ember Moon saying, let's do it then. Let's do this tonight. And Drake Maverick says, okay, I don't want any more brawling right now tonight. There's been enough of that. If Ember Moon and Karma want a match tonight, they've got it. There's just, you got to separate right now, because I can't be dealing with any more backstage altercations like that. And Karma and Ember Moon both smiling at that announcement before Purrazzo leaves her little gang away for a 67 here. And then we have some tag team action next. The Celtic Warriors, Sheamus and McIntyre, against the Viking Raiders, Ivar and Eric, and the two teams going at it. It's back and forth. It's the most competitive match the Celtic Warriors have had since their return, since forming this tag team, and it looks like the Viking Raiders maybe could do it. The Celtic Warriors getting back on top a little bit though. Drew McIntyre in the ring setting up for the Claymore kick when he is attacked from behind by Fandango and Tyler Breezango, the Raw Tag Champs, making their return following that assault by the Celtic Warriors at Crown Jewel, and going right for McIntyre. They're beating him down, called for a DQ. Celtic Warriors winning by disqualification. Sheamus getting in the ring, going for Tyler Breeze, who ducks out the way, bounces off the rope and charges into Sheamus. Fandango joining suit, and Breezango just beating down the Celtic Warriors before the Celtic Warriors escape the ring. Breezango fired up. They're angry. They are not happy. They're angry with Celtic Warriors attacking them, and they want to fight by the look of it. It's a 67 for the match. Pretty good. 78 for McIntyre, 57 for Sheamus, 41 for the Viking Raiders. McIntyre and Ivar sadly off their game, but oh well. 66, still pretty good. And then that post-match attack from Breezango getting a 67. All right here for us as this Raw Tag Team Championship feud continues to heat up, much like all the feuds on Raw, it would seem. They're all heating up quite excessively heading into these final weeks towards SummerSlam. And then we have a rematch from last week, Pete Dunne taking on Sami Zayn. Pete Dunne beating Sami Zayn last week in his Raw debut with the roll-up. Sami Zayn incensed by this, demanding a rematch. He's getting it tonight, and he picks up the win. This time Sami Zayn manages to roll up Pete Dunne. He grabs a handful of tights, he gets his feet on the ropes, getting as many advantages as possible as he gets that underhanded victory over Pete Dunne for a 66, 65 from Dunne, 60 from Zayn. Pretty good from both of these. And then after the match, Sami Zayn celebrating like he has won the Super Bowl. He's going crazy up the ramp and at ringside, running down the aisles, high-fiving fans. He feels like this is a very deserved and monumental win for him, as Pete Dunne not happy with the underhanded defeat he's just been handed by Zayn here. And then we go backstage. Drake Maverick's office once again. He's in there with the Sky Pirates. Bayley's also there. And then Sasha Banks walks in later than all of them. Bayley asking where she's been. Banks saying she was busy. Maverick's saying, glad you're all here. I have something I need to tell you right now. SummerSlam coming up. The women's tag titles will be defended in a fatal 4-way tag team match with the champions, the Riot Squad, a team from Raw, a team from NXT, and a team from SmackDown. And I need my team from Raw. I need to put my best foot forward for this one to get those titles back over here. So later tonight, Banks and Bayley versus the Sky Pirates one more time, 2v2. These 4 women have had some great matches together. They're going to go head to head once again with that women's tag team contendership on the line once more for a 69 here. Sky Pirates look excited, Bayley looks excited, Sasha Banks looks excited, but I don't know, annoyed or bored is the right word here. Obviously thinking these women's tag titles are beneath her, wanting a singles title more to her level, most likely. And then we head into a match announced earlier, Ember Moon taking on Karma here, and Karma setting up for the awesome bomb. Ember Moon managing to throw some punches at Karma, knock her off her balance. She hits a swift kick onto Karma. Karma releasing her grip. Ember Moon twisting in the air and catching Karma into an eclipse to pick up a massive victory here for her. It's a 60 for the segment, 56 from Ember, 46 from Karma, and it's a decent little match here, I would say, as Ember Moon does get the win over Karma here. Then after the match, Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green sneaking into the ring and begin attacking Ember Moon, getting their frustrations out on her when the Women's World Champion Asuka storms down to the ring and fights off Purrazzo and Green. Green and Purrazzo retreating up the ramp when Drake Maverick comes out and says that, no, where do you think you're going? No, because Chelsea, Deonna, you can leave if you want, but Chelsea, you better get back in there because you got a match with Asuka right now for 63. Chelsea Green not happy with that. Asuka very happy with that, as the match gets a 67. Asuka forcing Chelsea Green to tap out with the Asuka lock in the end. 76 for Asuka, 36 for Chelsea. Pretty good from these two here, as the Women's World Champ does come out on top over Chelsea Green here. And then next up, we do have that women's tag team contendership match. We have Sasha Banks and Bayley teaming up to take on the Sky Pirates, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. And just like all the matches between these 4, it's back and forth. It could go either way, but in the end, Io Shirai pins Bayley following that elbow drop moonsault combo from Shirai and Sane for a 72 here. Really good from these two. Io Shirai with the 72, 66 from Kairi, 65 from Bayley, 65 from Banks. Got the crowd hotter. Yeah, can't complain. Very happy with that. And then after the match, Bayley getting to her feet. Sasha Banks in the ring. Sasha Banks angry, going over to Bayley. Bayley, apologising. Sasha Banks calming down a bit, saying that's okay. Bayley going towards Sasha and the two hugging it out. And then they release the hug, Bayley turning around, but Sasha grabbing Bayley by the hair and pulling her back, hitting that backstabber, and then locking her in to her submission. Bayley tapping out, Sasha Banks not releasing here for 60 seconds in this post-match, as Sasha Banks does officially turn heel here after quite a lot of build-up. Turn was a complete success, happy with that, as Sasha Banks, as the Sky Pirates become Raw's contenders to the women's tag titles, and Sasha Banks stands tall over Bayley here. And then we head into the main event, that 6-man tag team match. The WWE Champion Edge, the King of the Ring and WWE title number 1 contender Angel Garza, as well as Kevin Owens, a man who's been fighting the Undisputed Era for quite a while now, against the Undisputed Era threesome of Mr. Money in the Bank Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and the United States Champion Kyle O'Reilly here. And it is not how this was meant to go. This was meant to end with Kevin Owens pinning Kyle O'Reilly, but Kevin Owens suffered a complete PCL tear. I have no idea how long they'll keep him out. Hopefully not too long. It sounds serious though. He's been doing so well, so that's really sad to see. But an audible had to be called, and Adam Cole pinned Kevin Owens following a Panama Sunrise. The Undisputed Era coming out on top over Edge, Garza and Owens here for the 78 segment rating wise. 86 from Cole, 83 from Owens, 78 from O'Reilly, 76 from Garza and Edge, and a 53 from Fish. They've all done very well here. 78 for the segment rating. Probably would have been higher, in the 80s at least, without that Kevin Owens injury causing that audible change. And then after the match, Edge and Garza recuperating on the outside as the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish stand tall over Kevin Owens, who's receiving the medical treatment he needs. Kevin Owens eventually stretch it off up the ramp. He'll be checked, hopefully. He won't be out for too long. 91 for this segment though, This was meant to be a different segment after the face team victory in the main event, but, I can't complain that the change made got the 91 and helped the show overall to an 80. Pretty good show, I would say. Dampener on things after that injury to Owens in the main event. Probably brought the rating down as well, but oh well. 80 still a good rating. 25 increase in our popularity. Increase the popularity in 25 regions. Can't complain too much with another good episode of Raw. And as you can see here, just went forward the next finish the show. As you can see here, went forward to the next day, finish the show. As you can see here, finish the show, went forward the next day, checking out Kevin Owens' injury here. The complete PCL tear. He can only work angles. He's out for 5 months and 3 weeks. Surgery's available. It's low risk, so I think I'll perform it here. It was a success. And he's only out for 42 days now, which is actually, it's a lot better than the 180 odd days he would have been out for. So, Kevin Owens out for 42 days. So he's gonna miss. He's definitely gonna miss SummerSlam. He's probably gonna miss the pay-per-view after SummerSlam, which is bragging rights. But he'll be back for the October pay-per-view, Halloween Havoc, which isn't too bad. A little disappointed. I had plans for him at SummerSlam, but oh well. I'll have to rejig a few things. But it's 42 days isn't too bad. So yeah, that's fine. And that's it for Raw now. It's a bit more extended than usual, but I wanted to check out Owens' injury. Hopefully there'll be no more injuries in the build-up to SummerSlam as we head into another episode of NXT. And then NXT gets underway here with Becky Lynch making her way down to the ring for an 85. And then she gets on the mic and she starts talking about dealing with those bozos Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez last week. And now her focus is clear. It's to finally achieve the one biggest missing mark in her resume, the NXT Women's Championship. So she asked the champion, her partner last week, Tegan Nox, to come down to the ring right now for the 81, and then the Women's Champion Tegan Nox does make her way out, 78 for her entrance, and then she gets on the mic and they're going back and forth. Tegan Nox saying about how much of an inspiration Becky Lynch was to her, how inspiring the man was to so many, and how fighting Becky Lynch would be an honour for Tegan Nox, and beating Becky Lynch would be an even bigger honour, because with her NXT Women's Championship on the line, Tegan Nox says that she'll have a very special Shiniest Wizard save just for Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch happy. She says, this is fighting talk from you, Tegan, and you're a great competitor, but when the man gets in the ring, the man will walk out with that championship. But then the two are interrupted by Mickie James coming out for an 87 here. Mickie James not happy, talking about how Becky Lynch took all that time away and then she just wants to waltz right back in and get a women's title opportunity. No, especially when a legend like Mickie James is around and deserves that title opportunity and so much more. And Becky Lynch laughing off once again and just saying that if Mickie James wants to put her money where her mouth is, then they can get in the ring and do it right now. And Mickie James accepts. Mickie James wanting to prove herself here. So Tegan Nox goes to ringside, and with the first match of the evening, Becky Lynch taking on Mickie James. And Becky Lynch picks up the win with the disarm her in the end for a 76, really good. 82 from Lynch, 44 from James, as Lynch comes out on top. And then after the match, Tegan Nox, NXT Women's Champion, at ringside applauding Becky Lynch as Becky Lynch gets her arm raised before Nox gets in the ring. And her and Lynch stand across from each other, and Nox holds out her hand, and Lynch shakes it. These two showing some respect, and also, in a way, confirming that matchup, SummerSlam, Lynch and Nox for that title, which will hopefully be really, really good. 88 for this post-match segment. Becky Lynch back and better than ever. As we go backstage to the Mysterios, Rey Mysterio, and of course his son, the number one contender to the Cruiserweight title, Dominic Mysterio. Dominic bandaged up after the attack of Legado last week. Rey Mysterio checking on him. Dominic asking his father Rey if Rey's sure about tonight. Rey Mysterio, a match later on, 6-man tag team match, him and the Swords of Essex against Legado. Rey says he's more sure of this than anything in his life, saying that what Legado did to him last week was cowardness, and it angered him, and he can't wait to get out here and kick their asses later on for a 65 here. As next up we have a NXT North American Championship match. It's been building for a few weeks now, and it's Keith Lee taking on Bobby Lashley 1v1, and the two powerhouses just smashing the hell out of each other. Eventually taking each other out the ring, they brawl up the ramp. The referee continues counting, of course. Keith Lee setting up for a big bang catastrophe at the top of the ramp. Lashley fighting off, getting off Lee's shoulders, pushing him away, and then spearing him through the LED screens. Both men taken out. The referee finishing the 10 count, and it's down as a Lee win here for some reason. I think I accidentally selected Dusty count out instead of regular double count out. But that's what happened. It was a double count out here between Lee and Lashley. Both men getting checked over by the medics after the match. After that brutal spear from Lashley through the LED screens, took them both out completely. Their match does manage to get a 79 though. Really good matchup from these two. 79 from Lee, 67 from Lashley. Very happy with that between the pair, as there's no winner here, and Keith Lee retains his NXT North American title for now. Before we go backstage to Aleister Black in his locker room, preparing, training. Obviously last week, him challenging John Cena to a match at SummerSlam. John Cena looking happy at the prospects. So it does look like we'll be getting that Aleister Black versus John Cena dream match in a few weeks' time at SummerSlam. And there's a knock at Black's jaw, and in comes the Velveteen Dream. He's looking a bit frantic, very serious. He says to Black, Aleister, I need to know where the Fiend is. You went there. You went to the Firefly Funhouse. You need to tell me how to get there. I have to confront Bray Wyatt. I have to get a match with the Fiend. Aleister saying that he doesn't have time for the Velveteen Dream in his games right now. Says he's preparing for his match with John Cena. And Velveteen Dream laughing off, saying that Aleister's just acting like this because he knows that the Velveteen Dream gets in the ring with the Fiend. The Velveteen Dream will destroy the Fiend in 4 minutes flat, and then everyone will realise how pathetic Aleister is, and how he's not good enough to lace the Dream's boots. Aleister Black getting serious and saying that, you know what, Dream? I have a way to solve both of our problems right now. I need to practice, you want the Fiend, so how about you and me later tonight? And if you win, I'll tell you exactly where to find the Fiend. For an 82, Dream accepting the challenge, for these two will go at it later on tonight. Good segment between these two. These two usually have good matches, so hopefully that will get a good rating. As next up we go back to the ring with a tag team match. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez lost last week to Lynch and Knox, this time taking on Team Ninja, Canzaro and Carter. And Kai and Raquel come out on top for a 62, 56 from Gonzalez, 51 from Kai, 44 from Carter, 49 from Kat and Zaro, as Kai and Raquel Gonzalez do come out on top here, obviously wanting to put their attention on the NXT Women's Singles title, but Lynch, the contender to that, so those two turning their attention to women's tag contention at SummerSlam, and the 62 is pretty good here from them. We then go backstage. Shibata finds Damian Priest walking into the arena. He's got his jacket on, he's looking focused. Shibata asks him about last week's matchup with Lashley. Finn Balor's music hit, he seems to get a bit distracted. What's his thoughts? And Priest says, if Finn Balor wants to play his little mind games, he can go ahead, you know. Staying in the back, doing stuff that's a loser's game, and so it doesn't surprise me Finn's doing that. But I'm going to pay him no mind. I'm going to be focusing on ensuring the name Damian Priest lives forever. And to that end, I got a match to get... I got to go get ready, got to get changed, got to prepare for my match later tonight, main event, against the NXT champion, Karrion Kross. I'm going to beat him, and I'm going to show that I deserve a shot at that title. And then when I become NXT champion, well then the name Damian Priest really will live forever. For an 80, Damian Priest not letting Balor getting hit to him, focusing on himself, focusing on that match later tonight with Karrion Kross, as we have a 6-man tag team match. Next up, as said earlier, Legado, Andrade, the Cruiserweight Champion, Humberto Carrillo, and Santos Escobar, taking on Rey Mysterio and the Swords of Essex, Scottish Essex, and Will Ospreay, the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. It's 6-man tag team action, and in the end, Santos Escobar hits Scotty Essex with the Phantom Driver and picks up the win for Legado for a 70. Escobar and Rey Mysterio off their game, sadly. 87 from Andrade, head and shoulders above everyone else. 75 from Rey, 65 from Santos Escobar, 63 Ospreay, 60 Humberto, 51 Essex. 70 still pretty good here. Was hoping for a bit better, but, you know, when you have a third of the match off their game, it doesn't help. But still 70 pretty good. Legado getting their arm raised after the match, begin to beat down on Mysterio and the Swords of Essex. When Dominic Mysterio charges down to ring with Singapore cane, Andrade goes for him, but Dominic Mysterio ducks underneath and smashes him in the chest with the cane. Carrillo approaches, and Mysterio hits him head on. Carrillo going down, rolling out the rim. He goes for Escobar, who ducks and slides out the ring. Andrade gone as well. Legado going up the ramp. Andrade holding his chest a bit after the hit from the cane. You can see the red marking. Dominic screaming at them to get back in the ring. He's not happy with the attack last week and this week on his father. Andrade looking angry, but of course Andrade will get his hands on Dominic Mysterio in a few weeks' time at SummerSlam with the Cruiserweight title up for grabs for a 68 here on the post. Pretty good from these guys. As next up we have the, as said earlier, Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream matchup. Velveteen Dream wins. Aleister Black says he will tell him how to find the Fiend, how to get to the Funhouse so he can challenge Bray Wyatt to a match with the Fiend, which Velveteen Dream really feels like he needs, but in the end it's not needed because Aleister Black picks up the win with the Black Mass. Velveteen Dream, his obsession with the Fiend maybe getting to him a little bit here, getting in his head. 79 pretty good from these guys, 83 from Black, 69 from the Dream. And then after the match the lights go out, and when they come back on, the Fiend is in the ring, and he stares across at Aleister Black, the man who beat him a few weeks ago at Crown Jewel. Velveteen Dream getting to his feet and noticing, and hitting a super kick onto the Fiend falling backwards, but kind of catching himself with his arm straight into a crab walk. Velveteen Dream looks a little bit rattled as the Fiend kind of twists around and turns his attention to Velveteen Dream. The Fiend begins charging at the Dream. The Dream kind of cowards back a little bit as the lights go out. When they come back on, the Fiend is gone. Velveteen Dream cowering in the corner. It seems maybe Velveteen Dream regretting his decision to challenge the Fiend here, but the Fiend's attention is onto the Dream just like he wanted now for an 86 here for the post. Very, very good from these guys. Happy with that as the Black builds some momentum heading into the match with Cena. Velveteen Dream and the Fiend beginning to heat up here as well. Happy with this as we head into the main event of this evening. Damian Priest taking on the NXT champion Karrion Kross here, and it's a hard hitting matchup between these two. It's back and forth. Damian Priest getting in a lot of offense, so showing what he can do against the NXT champion here. Kross taking control at points, but Damian Priest managing to win control back of sorts. But in the end, just like last week, the Finn Balor's music hits and smoke begins to fill up the ring, red and black smoke. Damian Priest caught off guard, looking around, wondering what's going on, shouting for Finn Balor to get out here and face him like a man, which does allow Karrion Kross to grab Damian Priest from behind, lock in the cross jacket, and in the end, Damian Priest passing out as Karrion Kross comes out on top here for a 77. Pretty good from these two. Sadly, both of them were really off their game, which doesn't help. Hope this match could have gone in the 80s maybe, but 77 is still okay, all things considered. 58 from Priest, 76 from Kross. Yeah, happy with that, as Karrion Kross does come out on top after the match. Randy Orton coming out onto the ramp like Kross did last week, and the two staring down Karrion Kross, saying that Randy Orton wants to play a bit of one-upmanship, and then going over to Priest, dragging him up by his hair, and then hitting a Doomsday Saida, and then Kross going back to the rope and looking at Orton saying, "That's going to be you. You wanted this. You asked for this. It's time for the Viper to be put down once and for all, and for you to fall and pray, Mr. Orton," for an 87 here. Really good end to the show from these guys. NXT, storyline-wise, heading into SummerSlam, has the most of any of the three shows, so there's a lot to cram into it, I feel, but I think it's done a pretty good job so far in the build-up to SummerSlam in the last 3 weeks, building up all the feuds respectively, and getting some good ratings along the way. This week's episode getting an 81. Yeah, happy with that. A really good episode of NXT as usual. 27 increased our popularity in 27 regions. Can't complain with that. Yeah, happy with that. NXT moving along really nicely, heading into SummerSlam, and hopefully this week can continue doing really well with the latest episode of SmackDown. And then SmackDown kicks off with the Universal Champion Big E making his way out to the ring for an 86. He gets on the mic, he talks about beating King Corbin last week, shutting him up once and for all, dealing with him, showing that he can't step up to the Universal Champion. But now the focus is on a man Big E says he knows can step up to Universal Champion, someone who deserves to be a World Champion, who Big E says he can't wait to get in the ring with, to go head to head with, to see who's going to come out on top with for the 87. He invites his number one contender, his best friend, his brother, Kofi Kingston, down to the ring, and he comes out for an 84, and then Kofi talking about how good it felt to pin King Corbin himself a few weeks back, and then to watch Big E do it last week as well. And he says shutting up King Corbin was such a great experience. And now, like Big E said, the focus is on SummerSlam, a few weeks away. Big E, Kofi Kingston for the Universal title, two best friends going at it, and they're both ready. They both say that they love each other, but they're going to give it everything they got. They're not going to go easy. They're going to treat it like any other world title match, any other match they'd have for an 85 here. But then the two of them are interrupted by King Corbin and Ace Austin. Corbin obviously not done with them, saying that Kofi only beat him because he was distracted. You know, it was a fatal four-way to deal with two other people. And then last week, Big E only defeated him because he got lucky, and that those two and that Big E and Kofi aren't world title material. King Corbin is the only person here with world championship material, other than Ace Austin, of course. And then Corbin issues a challenge. He says no fatal four-way, no one-on-one tonight. Tag team Big E and Kofi Kingston against King Corbin and Ace Austin. So Corbin says so you can deal with these two once and for all at the same time. And Big E and Kingston happily accept for an 88. Really good start to the show from these guys here. And then we have our first match of this evening. Two very new superstars to the brand, both looking for their first win. Austin Theory taking on Leon Ruff here. And Austin Theory's the one who picks up the victory here. Gets his first win on SmackDown for 51. Decent from these two, I'd say. 53 from Theory, 30 from Ruff. I'm happy enough with that, you know. It's back and forth. Ruff gave it his all once again. But in the end, Austin Theory is the one who comes out on top and picks up the victory here. We then go backstage to Rhea Ripley, the Women's Universal Champion, being interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Ripley talking about SummerSlam, being ready for Charlotte Flair. She says Charlotte gets this opportunity because she's got that crown on her head, and Ripley says she can't wait to get to SummerSlam and knock it clean off on her way to retaining the Women's Universal title. When she looks back at that WrestleMania NXT Women's Championship between the pair, it just makes her angry. And how she can't wait to finally clean that blemish from her record by beating Charlotte Flair one-on-one with the Women's Universal title on the line at SummerSlam for a 75. Really good from Rhea Ripley here. As next up we have the $1 Million champion, Bianca Belair, taking on Billie Kay here. Peyton Royce calling out Belair in recent weeks. Belair going toe-to-toe with Royce's. Peyton Royce calling out Bianca Belair in the past few weeks. And now Belair going toe-to-toe with Royce's best friend, Billie Kay here. And Bianca Belair does come out on top with the KOD here for a 56. 52 from Belair, 46 from Kay. Pretty good from these two, as Bianca Belair does come out on top in the end, maybe giving a preview to Royce of what's going to happen if she keeps running her mouth and coming for that $1 Million title. We then go backstage, Kayla Braxton in Thaddeus Bullard's locker room with him and Paul Heyman interviewing them. Braxton asks what Bullard thinks of Montez Ford becoming number one contender last week, earning that Intercontinental title shot at SummerSlam. And Heyman says that Montez Ford or Roman Reigns, it doesn't matter, because the result will always stay the same. Montez Ford, he's had a good few months, sure, but in the big moments, the big opportunities, WrestleMania, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring, he chokes. He can't climb that final hurdle and finally reach the goal. He's a man for the chase. And the chase is fine for people like Montez Ford, but the goal is what matters to apex predators like Thaddeus Bullard. So Montez Ford can chase all he wants, but in the end, he will choke, and Thaddeus Bullard will come out on top. And he will carry the Intercontinental title to SummerSlam, and he will hand it in, and he will get a Universal Championship opportunity, and he will take the Universal Championship, and he will never let go. And that is not a prediction. That's a spoiler. For an 84 here from Paul Heyman. Still very clear of Bullard's intentions. Doesn't sound like he has much faith in Montez Ford's ability, but they're going to get a preview of what Montez Ford can do up next, because he is in action against Cesaro here, and it gets an 80. It's a really good match between the two. It's back and forth, it's all out, and in the end Montez Ford picks up the win with that massive frog splash. 73 from Cesaro, 75 from Ford. Very happy with this between these two. I'm not surprised, they're both really good. And Ford's the one who comes out on top, continuing to build that momentum heading into his Intercontinental title opportunity at SummerSlam. We then go backstage to the Dirty Dogs, all drinking backstage again. Leon Ruff walking past, holding his chest a little, still a bit banged up. And the Dirty Dogs notice him, and they call him over. And they begin laughing at him again about losing once again. They said, maybe this business isn't for you, kid. Maybe you don't have what it takes around here. I mean, we could tell that from the moment we first saw you, but maybe it's time you realize that as well. And Leon Ruff laughs off and says that I didn't win, but I fought hard. I gave it everything I got. I did better than last week. Next week I'll do better again, and I'll keep going and going until I'm at the top. And they laugh at that. They just laugh at that. And they pause before laughing at that suggestion of Ruff being anywhere near the top. And Leon Ruff says, you know what? I'm tired of this from you guys. Next week, I want to face one of you. And Storm and Rude and Ziggler kind of look at each other. And Ziggler says, okay, I'll take you on next week. And then Ruff smiles before walking away. So Ruff and Ziggler next week. Ziggler, obviously, the way they're going on, not anticipating much of a challenge. But it gets a 63 from the segment here. Good work from these guys as usual. As next up, we have the Women's Universal Champion Rhea Ripley taking on Sonya Deville. And Rhea Ripley comes out on top with the Riptide for a 61, 66 from Ripley, 44 from Sonya Deville. Doing alright here, as Ripley does come out on top. And then after the match, Charlotte Flair, some music hits and she comes down to the ring. And she gets in and her and Rhea Ripley stare down, going back and forth verbally, no mics, but Charlotte very assured of herself that there's going to be a replay of that WrestleMania NXT Women's title match, and Ripley sure of herself that she has what it takes to overcome Charlotte Flair here and keep that title for an 87 here. Really, really good from these two as we head into the main event of this evening. It's the New Day, the Universal Champion Big E and his number one contender Kofi Kingston taking on the team of King Corbin and Ace Austin here. And at one point in the match, Johnny Gargano storms out once again and takes out Ace Austin when the ref's not looking. Ace Austin shoving Gargano off and running into the crowd. Gargano following him, leaving Corbin in his own. Corbin going for the tag, but obviously Ace Austin not there, caught off guard. And he turns around, Big E picks him up into the hold for the big ending, walks over, tags in Kingston, and they hit the midnight hour onto King Corbin and pick up the victory here for a 79. Really good work from these guys. Once again, 89 from me, 77 from Kingston, 73 from Corbin, 60 from Austin. Very good work from the guys here, as the New Day do come out on top after the match. Big E and Kingston getting their arms raised, and then the two of them shaking hands, showing respect as you'd expect from these brothers. But they got that match coming up at SummerSlam, 1-on-1, Universal title on the line. Hopefully it'll be really good. 84 for the post-match show of respect here. And then we head into the final segment of the show. Out comes the Bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Jacob Fatu, and as well they are joined by Naomi and Nia Jax for an 87. The Bloodline, two new members here. Obviously Jimmy Uso's wife Naomi and Nia Jax, also related to him through The Rock, coincidentally, for an 87 here. Really good. And then Roman Reigns getting on the mic, and Roman Reigns talking about how the more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets at The Rock's involvement last week. I mean, what is Dwayne's problem? Everyone else in this family has acknowledged Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. Jey Uso acknowledged him. Jimmy acknowledged him. Jacob acknowledged him. Naomi acknowledged him. Damn, even Nia Jax, who's only related to this bloodline through Roman Reigns' mother, not even a direct descendant of this bloodline, even she has the brains to acknowledge Roman Reigns as her tribal chief. But Dwayne just can't seem to do it. And so Roman says he will give Dwayne one more chance right now to come out here and acknowledge Roman Reigns as his one true tribal chief for a 78 here. And then out comes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, making his way down to the ring. First time on SmackDown in a long time. I think match time. He comes out for an 88 here, and him and Roman Reigns verbally go back and forth. The Rock says he's not going to acknowledge Roman Reigns because he can't acknowledge someone he doesn't respect. He can't accept a tribal chief like Roman Reigns, because if they knew that there was a tribal chief like Roman Reigns running around, The Rock says their ancestors would be turning in their graves. Roman Reigns is not impressed, saying that it's not about them though, is it? It's about us. It's about everyone in this ring carrying this bloodline. It's about Roman Reigns, the future of this bloodline. More than anyone. but yet you refuse to acknowledge it. And so Roman Reigns puts forward the challenge. SummerSlam. Roman Reigns versus The Rock. 1v1. When Roman Reigns wins, The Rock will have to acknowledge him as the tribal chief. And The Rock laughing off and saying, you know what? I accept. Making it official. SummerSlam main event. SummerSlam, one of the main events for sure. Roman Reigns versus The Rock. A long-wanted matchup finally going to happen on the biggest party of the summer. For a 79 here. Really good ending to the show. Really big announcement. Helping SmackDown overall to get an 83. I think that's the first time SmackDown's been the best show of the week overall rating-wise. Increased our pop in 27 regions. Really, really happy with that. Really happy with all the shows on this road to SummerSlam. It's going really well. I hope. And if you've been enjoying it and you're looking forward to next week, the go-home shows heading into SummerSlam, and then the episode after will of course be SummerSlam itself, then please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.